Hi, Chang here with Trakr, and today I am going to go through a more thorough example of how to use our new feature, page interactions. As you can see, I have a project set up here called Lander app. And then in this project, I have a few screenshot collections taken. I've run some visual tests here. And then just to get a more precise idea of what I'm testing in this project, it is another web-based app, which is a sister product to Trakr called Lander. So this is a landing page builder tool, completely web-based web app where you have to log in to access most of the features and functionalities. So we're going to test this app using Trakr. Before we get started, I would also highly recommend if you're using Google Chrome to get this unique CSS selector extension added to your browser. That is going to be very helpful when we're setting up the page interactions. So let's get started. First, let me show you what some of the settings I have in this project. So as I've mentioned that it is a web app. What that means is that we're actually going to try to log into this app before we take the screenshots and do the testing. So I have some custom login instructions here that allows us to log into this web app before we do our test. And I will post a link of how to do some of those things and some of the documentation uh, links so that you can learn how to use those as well. And then there's another area where we have set up that could be helpful as well is that I also have set up to mask some of the elements on the web app itself. So for example, there is this little chat area, which can be a little bit annoying. That happens on all pages. So, I've chose to mask it. Actually, now I think about it, I should just remove it. And then we're also, and you'll see also that I've set up masking, as you can see, first name, last name, user email. So those are some of the items that is a little bit more private. So we want to make sure those things are not exposed as part of the screenshot. So let me save this and let me show you what I mean by some of these things being masked. So if I go into one of the existing screenshot collections, I'm just going to look at preview some of them. So for example, this user page, user edit page, as we can see, we actually mask the the first name, last name, email address because those are quite personal information. So we really don't want to expose those as part of the visual tests. So that all being said, let's go to the web app and see how this thing is set up. So there are many part of this app that has a permanent URL. So slash templates. If we want to get started, we have a URL that we can actually use just for visual testing. But if we go back, there are also other parts of this web app that has some events, some special effect that is not quite we're not quite able to capture them with a URL. So for example, on this page, you can select different sets of templates, and this is just a little quick JavaScript transition tab. Again, for example, if we're going to create a um, new page here, there are also some other areas that we might want to perform visual tests on. So if I click on this little tab, if I click to expand this, I could click this. So sometimes it really could be useful to not just test the default state of this page, but able to expand things out and make sure we're testing all different parts of this page in different states. So that's really what the page interactions comes in to play, and let's see how we can get that to work. So I'm going to go to my project settings again, go to this page interactions tab. Now I can start adding them. So the URI, so I'm going to use the default, which is the home page on this app here. So that's just this home page. And then the only thing I might want to test in terms of interacting with the page before I take the screenshot is, I might want to expand this user menu, making sure that is displaying correctly. So in order to capture this element, I'm going to turn on that CSS selector extension on Chrome. What that allows me to do is actually highlight this specific item or element on the page, and then I can click on this copy unique selector to clipboard. Can't quite see it on my screen. And then I'm going to say, I'm just going to click this CSS selector. And that's where that extension comes to be really, really helpful. I'm going to add another interaction. This time I am going to try to also test this other little tab here. Once I click here, that page gets changed to this other, other template set. So I also turn on my my little handy Chrome extension, and then again copy the unique selector to clipboard, and then here I'm going to select that URL was /templates. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to add that. In this case, it might be helpful to click a little bit, and as you can see, there's a little bit of transition here. So it doesn't get there right away, but it's relatively quick. So I can also add another little event or interaction just to wait for that transition to take place. So I'll just put a pretty quick 200 milliseconds. And then finally, let's do a little bit more complex interaction. So, for example, if I wanted to create a new page on this particular screen, but I wanted to, essentially expand everything here. So in that case, let's find the URI, which is this one. And the first step I am going to do is actually click on this tab. So again, using my extension, right click and copy the selector. There we go. And then because I'm going to do multiple things here, it's maybe very good to just add a small wait time between that. And then the next thing, again, I want to expand this little section here. So again, grab that selector, click on that, and then wait. And then when I click on this, I see that this actually scrolls down. It's taking its time. So I do want to add a relatively enough time for this whole section to appear before we take the screenshot. So I might want to add, a whole second before that happens. And then just for fun, let's also click on this as well, so that this one actually, when you click on it, it gives you a little prompt as well. So let's find that selector 2, and then let's click on it, and then wait, just for safety, wait for another 200 milliseconds. So this is how we built those page interactions. And then you can actually obviously save this. But I just want to mention a couple of things I think will be helpful when you're building these. One is that adding a wait time after an event, such as clicking something, usually is a good idea because there's, more often than not, some type of transition effect on those events. But as you can also see, some of those transitions might actually take a little bit of time. So if you add a lot of the wait time, it's also going to end up adding a lot of time for Trakr to process your entire screenshot collection. So just keep those in mind, and hopefully you have fun with this new feature. All right, until next time.